Hey everyone, it's so nice to be back and to be sharing with y'all tonight. My name is David Rao and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. So it's been a long time since I've shared last on a live video like this. It was sometime in the spring / summer / whatever the last several months have been. And so I'm excited to be back and to be sharing tonight. Usually in these Musical Mondays videos, I go through and I share all my lesson plans for the week. I go through processes, I go through resources, I go through all of that sort of stuff. And I'm hoping to do that this year. But the trick is that I'm not actually back to school yet. And I know some other people are also not back to school, or some people are sort of back to school, or maybe not quite back to school, and we're all in different places. And so my plan tonight is to share just a little bit about some of the resources I plan on using when I do go back, and to share books and resources and all the things that go along with that. And try and answer some questions maybe along the way, but just make a connection, and because I know that so many people are just looking for help or ideas or things along the way, and so I'm going to hopefully share some of that with you tonight. Just to get in your head, if you haven't been on a Musical Monday before, or if it's been a long time, I wanted to let you know about some resources that are there. If you go to my blog, which is makemomentsmatter.org, and then there's a drop-down tab that says video. If you click on Musical Mondays Recap and choose 2020-2021, which is this school year, you will find any of the links, books, anything that I talk about in this video, I will link there. So if you're like, oh, that was a really cool book, I wish I knew what the ISBN number was, or, oh, that's a super cool tech resource, I wonder if I could get that. Where could I get that? I'm going to have all those links on that link page, so that's at makemomentsmatter.org/video, or if you go to my website, you can just click the drop-down video and you'll be able to find that. Or if you're on Facebook, it's at the bottom of the caption for this video is a direct link, and if you're on Instagram, if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll find a direct link there. That's a thing in case you think along the way like, oh man, what about that? Whatever. I have some online workshops coming up. I would normally say workshops coming up, but they're online, and they're going to be coming up, so I'll give more information as we get closer to those. But I hope that a lot of folks who are like, well, I would have gone to that workshop, but it was like 4 states away. Well, now that a lot of local ORF chapters and music education associations and things are doing things online, if you want, you might be able to join in on that. So I'll make sure that I have information about that coming up. One more thing that I really want to talk about before we get started and jump into stuff. If there was ever a year to have a community that you could trust or to check in with, this is the year. And so I will say that I have been very selective about what I look at on Facebook, because there's a lot on Facebook. And Facebook is great for some things, but in some ways Facebook is really stressful because you can just scroll forever and it feels like the scroll of doom, right? Like you're seeing things that are like, oh my gosh, like I'm stressed about this, or things that make you not feel good about this coming school year, or I mean, there are just all sorts of things as you plan for the year that you can find on Facebook. Maybe things you don't want to find. So I've been really scaling back what I look at in those Facebook groups, and I've tried to really limit my Facebook time so that I'm going to Facebook as a resource, or I'm getting good interactions there, but not getting some of the toxic stress that you can find on Facebook sometimes. I've been really leaning into the Instagram teacher community and trying to find more ideas there. But I wanted to just say that there is a Facebook group that I started a couple years ago, and it's called Every Moment Matters Music Education Community. There's a direct link on that links page I talked about. But in that group, I've been trying to share fun ideas, things I'm going to use, resources, ideas, and I hope that that's a place where as we go through the year, we can say like, ooh, what about that idea? Ooh, I did take that book. How did you use it? Or how's this other thing working? So that it is a place where we can get more ideas and lean into one another as opposed to just find stressful things. Because some of those, I'm not going to say bad things about Facebook music ed groups because I love that we're able to have those. But there are some groups that can get a little stressful, or maybe just being on Facebook you get stressed. So there's that group there if you want. As we go tonight in the conversation, I hope that you will leave questions in the comment area for this video. If you're listening to this as a podcast version, or if you're watching this on YouTube weeks later, come back to find the conversations. But I hope that if you have questions or comments along the way, that you will add them tonight so that we can come together and like actually talk about stuff. And there are going to be a couple times where I'm going to say, like, please leave your ideas in the comments, because I may have one way to do it, but I would love to hear all of your ways to do it too. Okay, so where are we for this school year? Is a great question. I am even asking in my own school district, because everybody is, well, a lot of states have pushed back openings, or a lot of districts have pushed back the opening date. Some people are going back, but they're only going back online. Some people are going back in person, and if you're going back in person, many people are going back with adaptations. So either they're wearing masks, or they're... Are we singing? Are we not singing? Can we play instruments? Maybe you can do some of those things, but don't feel comfortable, or maybe you're not even in your own room anymore. Maybe you're on a cart, or we're all in different places. So I don't want to give just one set of lesson ideas like I did in the spring of like, here's some digital distance things you can do, because most of us were doing that. I don't want to give just one sort of thing. So I'm going to give some lesson ideas that hopefully you can use and adapt, whether you are in your own classroom, whether you are on a cart, whether you are all digital, because we're all in different places doing different things. Okay. Just a couple quick things in that list. So we talked about, are you singing? Are you playing instruments? Probably shouldn't be singing. There's not a definitive one answer, and everybody sort of says different things or wants to say different things, but it sounds like the majority of the research says singing is not healthy, and it's not safe right now. So good thing to keep in mind, because so much of what we do is singing based. I'm hoping to talk about a little bit later how you can still incorporate some singing if you are in some sort of special circumstances. If you're online, how are you online? Are you synchronous? Are you asynchronous? Are you having live classes or not? Are you using technology? Are you not using? I mean, we're all in different places, and so we just sort of have to adapt. And how? I'm going into this year with a growth mindset. I'm going in with a positive mindset, looking for all the great possibilities, and I'm calling this my big year of what if. What if we can't sing? Well, then what are you going to fill that with? Is the singing so important and vital to what we're doing? How can you incorporate that? How can you find different ways to do that? What if we did it a different way? What if we did all of our singing on that digital day where you're, maybe you're in person for a couple days and you're digital for other days. Or maybe you just have your cool online classroom that you set up. Maybe you can put a bunch of singing lessons and things there that kids can watch when they're not in person with you. What if we took technology and used it in exciting ways, and what if we used our technology to facilitate concerts or interactions with parents? What if this is the one year where we get to make amazing concrete connections with parents? That's sort of what I'm going into the year with, the year of what if. Because if you think about, well, we can't sing, it's not safe to do that, maybe not instruments, can't pass around, who knows. Well, this makes me think like all those years where I'm like, well, there are all these other cool things I would love to get to, but like we just never had time because there was a concert in the way or something else happened. This is the year to get to all of that content and to share about all different things. This is the year to slow down and to have those important conversations and have those critical thinking moments and give kids a chance to journal about things or to listen and do the listening maps, or this is a great year to follow all of those rabbit trails, to where is it going to take us. This is a year that I plan to lean into colleagues, other music teachers, but also my grade level peers, people who are teaching in their classroom. I remember a conversation I had a few years ago when I was talking about with my tech teacher at my building about, I really want to connect better with parents, and I've been trying to use social media, but I'm not on a lot of followers in my school accounts yet. And how am I going to do this? And she was like, well, I already have Seesaw accounts set up for all the students. You could just push things out through that. And I was like, what now? And it was because I had made that connection and talked to that colleague that I found out she already had a special like direct connection through the Seesaw platform to all the parents of all the students, and had set up all their accounts and all of that. And so why not just use the thing she'd already done? So this is my year to ask around and to see how things are going, see what other people are doing, try and piggyback off of their learning and their lessons and their ideas. And this is a year that I'm going to do that. And this is a year that I'm going to just say I'm going to adapt. I'm going to try different things. So one of my big new things this year, different things this year, I'm no longer in Atlanta. Last spring I was teaching in Atlanta, and this year I've moved back. It feels like home, to Kansas City. I did my master's degree in Kansas City. I grew up in Nebraska, which is not that far from here. And so back in Kansas City is great and exciting, but that means that I have a new school now with a lot of students who I don't yet know, who I have not met before, and I may have to meet them digitally for the first time, or I may have to, meet all my colleagues digitally, and so it's a definite big change, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited for my new opportunities, but it's also a little scary. So I've been thinking about 3 things to sort of keep me in my mindset. A few years ago, for about 10 years, I worked for a camp for abused and neglected children in the summers. And one of the things there was a lot of ways you had to adapt and change, and in the split second, be willing to call an audible and change all of your plans for whatever, because of the nature of the kids, because of the nature of the camp. And one of the things that they taught me is this, not quite Bible reference, but blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. There are a whole lot of blessed is in the Bible, but blessed are the flexible, or blessed are, sorry, but blessed are the flexible is not really one of them. But in the camp, we kept talking about blessed are the flexible because they will not break. If you're willing to change and adapt and follow the students, or follow how you have to change that lesson, you might get to a really cool place, and you might learn things that you never would have in another year. So one of my mantras this year is blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. It also makes me think about my brother really loves improv. He's part of an improv troupe in Madison, Wisconsin, and I've read a couple books like by Tina Fey and Amy Poehler all about improv. And one of the things that they keep saying is that one of the rules of improv is that if someone says something to you on the stage, you can't say, no, I'm not going to do that. Or you can't just cut down and not follow that line of ideas. You have to say yes, and you have to say yes and then add something, and it's an improv like rule of improv. Otherwise, if they're like, oh no, how did we get in this forest, and you're like, no, we're not in the forest, we're in the city, well then it's confusing and it's weird and it cuts up the story. But if you say yes, we are in the forest, and how did these flying pigs get here? I mean, you're adding to the story and you're moving things forward. So another rule for me this year is to say yes and. Okay, I'm in the classroom. All right. And can I use the technology? And what about instruments? And, I wonder, can I borrow your document camera? Or can you tell me what social studies concepts you're teaching? Because I'd love to tailor my lessons to that. If I'm going to be in the room with your, visuals and things anyway, it'd be cool if you could show me and make those connections. So I'm going into the year with a yes and. And one more thing, I'm going to give myself grace. I was talking with someone the other day who was really stressed out about the school year that's coming up. She had just changed to a new building. I understand that feeling. And we were talking back and forth, and she just seemed to be very stressed out. And I kept trying to reaffirm and reframe and rethink about what's possible in the new year. And she said, gosh, I guess I should give myself grace. I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, if ever you're going to give yourself grace, this is a great year to do it. Because all of us, no one has done this before. Even if maybe you've taught in a cart before, you've never taught in a cart during a pandemic in a situation quite like this. Maybe you've taught digitally before. You've never taught digital where the whole kit and caboodle is digital, or things are completely changed. Nobody has been in this exact situation before. And so you have to give yourself grace and be willing to make mistakes and make changes and adaptations. Anyone who says this is the exact right way to do it is either lying or trying to sell you something. If they're like, oh, I know exactly what to do and this is exactly how it works, they're either lying to you or they're selling you something, because nobody knows. So just give yourself a little grace and see what happens. Okay, so those are my 3 rules for the year. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break. Yes, and give yourself a little grace. And hopefully those are guiding principles that will help my year be more successful. And hopefully some of you will take those on too. But I just love going into a year thinking about how I can grow, how I can be positive, how I can make good changes. And those 3 things I hope will get me along the way. Okay, so I want to talk a lot about books today. I have some really fun books I want to show you. I have a couple games that I'd love to show you if we have time at the end. Some games that hopefully will be flexible to use in the classroom or use out of the classroom, or use in a combination of the 2 if necessary. Okay, so before I talk about my books, all of these books are listed in one place. If you go to the links page on makemomentsmatter.org, you can find a link. I have all these books in an Amazon ideas list. I am an Amazon affiliate, which means I can create lists that other people can see. Like, they call them ideas lists, where I can just sort of list out all the things. And if you click on the one of the little tiles, it's sort of like Pinterest, where it gives you a little blurb about like how I use it or what lesson I use it with. Like, so if you find a book and you're like, well, I might have typed in the caption like, I use this with such and such a song. So all these books are listed on Amazon. The thing about I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you click and buy from Amazon, I get a small percentage of the list price or whatever. The price of the book doesn't go up, it doesn't change because I've listed on my ideas page. It just, Amazon is thankful that you're buying it from them, so they give me like a tiny little percentage. But it doesn't change what you pay. But what I will say, and this is, I'm a bad Amazon associate for saying this, but you don't have to buy them from Amazon. Amazon is a really convenient place for me to put all the books, but it doesn't mean you need to buy them there. So, in fact, one of the books that I'm going to share with you tonight, I bought at a bargain outlet. And that's okay. In fact, there are a lot of really cool online bargain outlets, betterworldbooks.com, I think, thriftbooks.com, abebooks.com. There are all these great places where you can buy the books for less than you'd find them on Amazon. But if you go to Amazon, you can collect the ISBN, you can get the author's name, you can get the illustrator's name, you get all you can see what formats it comes out in, so you can then go look for it later. But I just wanted to say that so you know, like, if you buy it from Amazon, great. If you don't, that's fine too. One of the things I am thinking about this year is I'm trying to find as many books as I can, either in a digital format, or, because I have a couple different library cards, like through my school district or through the township where I live. And so I'm trying to find books in a digital format. So if I am in the classroom, I'd love to be able to just take my laptop, hook it in, and project it up on the screen. Or if it's available through Bookflix, which my students have access to, I'd love to have them be able to check it out there. But I'm trying to put a lot of things digital. I'm trying to find digital ways, and one of the cool things Amazon does is the Amazon e-reader, which is sort of a Kindle thing. I think it maybe is Kindle, but like a laptop version. But you can get the book in a digital format, and then you can read it on your computer. And if your computer's hooked up to a digital projector, it means you can also project it on the screen. So that's one of the fun things about the digital version. But there are a lot of, like, your local library probably has a digital book collection, sometimes books just for kids, like Bookflix. Your school library might have them that are available for your students if they have their own device or whatever. But I am looking for digital versions of things. So, for example, this first book I'm going to share about music it's a board book, so it's small. So in previous years, I've been able to say to students, like, well, scooch up if you want to see the pictures, but I'm not saying that to them now. I did buy a digital version of this so that I can project it through my computer, and kids will be able to see the book much larger and not have to leave their seat. So think about that adaptation as sort of nice, and it's cool if you can find the digital book somewhere free, like through your library, or if you want to get it through Amazon, that's a possibility too. Okay, I'm going to try and get these books, but I used to know a trick for Facebook. Sorry, Facebook, or sorry, Instagram, I can't do this for you. I used to know a trick for Facebook to be able to flip my screen so you can see it, not backwards, but I maybe don't remember how to do that. I'm going to end up with like some sort of filter or something. Ooh, there it is. Oh, okay. So Instagram, this is now hopefully reading correct. I'm sorry, Facebook, I don't have this option for you. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I don't. Yeah, no, I don't. Okay, sorry. So I'm going to read through this book and then talk about some of the connections that I want to make. This is a really, really fun book. I have used this for the last several years. In my classroom, when we were in person, everything was quote, quote, normal. But I'm going to use it now for sure because it's a really great book to get kids thinking about and discussing and trying. And okay, also I'm just going to say that I bought a ring light to try and like be really like cool and professional. But I don't know how it's going to make a glare. And I don't know. It's weird. It can be really bright. I look like a ghost if I turn it way up, so I'm not going to do that. But sorry, I'm still working this out. Thanks for coming back and not judging me. Okay, so Music Is. It's a really fun book. So let me just read through. Music Is. It's written by Brandon Stossy, illustrated by Amy Martin. Music is quiet. Music is loud. Music is hard. Oh, nope, just kidding. Skipped a page. Music is slow or made of fast sounds. Music is hard. Music is soft. Music is sad. Music is happy. Again, I'm sorry about the glare. I will figure that out for the next week. Music is one. Music is many. Music is lo-fi. Music is hi-fi. Acapella. Instrumental. Acoustic. Electric. Cymbals that splash and ba-da-ba bass and rat-a-tat drums on a rumbling stage. Guitars that are fuzzy. Guitars that are clean, loud, loud, loud voices that sing, 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 sing. Because music is moving, and music is calm. Music is old, and music is new. Music is for everyone. Music is for you. Okay, I love this book for a lot of reasons. Here at the back, there's a glossary of musical terms in case you're like, how do I explain to a student in like student language the difference between lo-fi and hi-fi? The author goes through and gives you some of those fun like student-centric answers. So normally I would read this book. I would read it K through 5, honestly. First, depends on the year. A lot of times I would read it K through 5, and I would adapt it differently for each grade. So for the younger kiddos, this is like perfect, and they love it because they're like, ooh, it's colorful, it's bright. The illustrator, Amy Martin, I think did a really, really amazing job for a couple different reasons. One, she used some really cool bright colors, amazing fun shapes. Like the book is just really interesting to look at, right? And then she also incorporated lots of diversity, like diversity in, well, you could talk about the musical diversity, different kinds of musical concepts. You could talk about, rock and roll, electric, folk, instrumental, band, choral, all sorts of stuff. Jazz, it's all included. Especially I think the skin tones and the representation is really important because kids need to be able to see themselves in the books that we share with them. And so there are so many great different types of people, skin tones, groupings of people represented. There are young kids, old people. I mean, everyone. So I love that about the book. With my younger kids, I would have this be a conversation of what is music. And this was great in previous years to like understand what their preconceived notions of music are. I had a student who, after like 6 weeks of music class, was like, Mr. Rao, when are we going to make music? And I was like, what do you think we've been doing since August? And he was like, no, music. And he pointed to the xylophones. Well, not even the xylophones. He didn't point to those. He pointed to the ukuleles. Because in his mind, singing was fun. The singing games were great. Playing on barred instruments, whatever. The shakers were great. But music making was ukuleles. Or, in his mind, mini guitars. And so giving kids this idea that music is not just the instruments. It can be. Or it's not just singing. It can be. I think especially in this year, the page that's going to be so important is a cappella or instrumental. What is instrumental music? It means music without singing. It's just so that's going to be a really important slide or thing to show students. But I think it's also, this is a great book to get conversations going. Music is one, music is many. If you're by yourself at home, that can still be music making. If you're in a class full of people, that can still be music making. I love the one that is lo-fi, hi-fi, because the author actually talked about it. If I can find that page. No, I can't find that page. The way that he described, here it is, lo-fi versus hi-fi, is he explained that lo-fi is like what you can record like on a cassette tape. Well, we don't use that anymore. Like what you can do on your own at home. Like it's just like you cobbling something together, right? And hi-fi is like nice microphones, recording studio, maybe multiple takes, mixing it together, producing it, all of that stuff to go. It's more of a produced end product sort of thing. That's what he had in mind when he made this. And so for me, I like to think with kids, I like to think about, well, maybe the lo-fi version is like you and your iPad, for your school-issued iPad, or your home iPad, or your mom's phone, or whatever. You just creating recording on your own. That is amazing. Just as amazing as the new Beyonce album that is professionally done, that is what, you can talk about, even though, and what we talked about in previous years would be like, just because you're doing this with tambourines and xylophones and body percussion, it doesn't mean that it's any less valuable than that Maroon 5 album, or that, whatever, that's super highly produced. So, this is a super cool book that lends to a lot of those conversations. With older grades, I got into the nitty-gritty of things, and the illustrator really helped out. So like for this page, Music is Hard, you could talk about if you're home doing digital or virtual, guess what? We're making instruments out of non-instrument things, right? Okay, so that could be a huge part of it. With the older kids, I really lean into these pictures. I love this one. Music is sad, music is happy. If you look at the character, really, it's like an inverted shape. So like the person is sort of just an inversion of the other one. And if you look, the little boombox thing is the same in each frame. And so I love to get kids thinking about, what's a song that might make one person happy might make another person sad, and why is that? And what is the context of how we listen, or what we're listening to? If you heard it on a really sad movie, or you heard it on a happy place, or maybe you heard that song when you were really sad, so how does the context of the music matter? Because it does. Because the same song can make some people happy and some people sad. I think that is a super, really fun conversation to have with your older kids. Another one I love to talk about is acoustic electric, because you're starting to discuss and think about, the difference between how the music sound is made or recorded or amplified. I love this one because kids think this is like a really fun page. Oh, the girl playing the super crazy guitar. Yeah, but it says, guitars that are fuzzy, guitars that are clean, loud, loud, loud voices that sing, 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 sing. The singing is just as important as the instrument part. A lot of people focus on, oh my gosh, she's playing the instrument. Well, yeah, but so is the sing, so that's what the author decided was important. So it's a really fun book, a really fun thing to think about. It inspires a lot of conversations. I went online and looked, and I found a video, because I was actually looking like, how do you pronounce this author's last name? Because I did a webinar of this book for the American North Shulvik Association. If you're an AOSA member, you can go back and watch that replay of that workshop. It was one of the music and Mondays, or Mondays with Music, or Mondays with Children's Literature, I think, through the summer, and you can find that in the AOSA webpage. But I was trying to find how the author pronounces his name, and I found a video of the author reading this book with his sons, put out by the Rockefeller Center in New York, and it's free on YouTube. And he reads the book, so the author reads the book with his sons, and it's so cool because he has these moments of explaining and understanding and giving context to the book with his children. So just like you would with your students. So this is a really fun book that you can get a version of the author reading for free online. So that's sort of cool. The companion book for this, so this one he said was like him talking about the world of music and all the different opportunities in music. And this book, another book he wrote called We Are Music, is like talks about how music developed through the ages, through the centuries, and it gives a little bit more context. And that he also reads this in his YouTube video. So there's the same We Are Music by Brandon Stossy, illustrated by Nick Radford. I'll just read a couple pages and not get too far into this one. We start with clapping, tapping, and drums. Lutes, flutes, and words are what we become. Violins, cellos, oboes, and more all play together with one written score. A 12-bar guitar, a voice that is true, singing sad songs about feeling blue. It goes on, I'm not going to go all the way into it, but it goes into all different genres. It even gets into pop stars here somewhere, and R&B and all sorts of cool stuff. So it's just a really cool book, beautiful pictures again, but it is a great one for getting kids talking. So these books are Music Is by Brandon Stossy and We Are Music by Brandon Stossy. Both of those are linked on the links pages. How you introduce them is up to you. You could introduce them and then have a conversation. You could have a conversation before, maybe with your older kids. You could pretend I have a whiteboard here and say like music is ... and then like just write out all the stuff that they come up with. If you are a tech person or you're doing virtual, there are, depending on the platform or the thing that you are teaching kids with, maybe you have a function to do like a online bulletin board, maybe you use something like Padlet, maybe you use something else. If you have ideas about how to do that digitally, please leave those in the comments. Padlet is maybe what I would use if that worked with my students, but if you have, Apple Classroom or something else where that's a function that works great, try that. But I think that for younger kids, I would read the book first and then have them draw out examples of what music is from the book. And you could go back and feel like, oh yeah, you did mention instrumental. Good, I'm so glad you remembered that. Here it is. With older kids, I might come out with what do you think music is first, then read the book, and then ask them again. Okay, now that we've read the book and we've talked about some of those things, what else is music that we didn't mention the first time? So I think that's a book that you could buy once and use with a lot of different grades. So this is a book that I bought on the Amazon Digital Kindle, Amazon Reader, whatever it's called, so that I can project it digitally. So if I'm going from class to class, I can just plug in my computer instead of carrying this book around everywhere and getting it germy. I can use my computer and not have to worry as much about it. Or if we're online or whatever, I can maybe do like a screencastify or whatever, something to give them more context of that. Also, one thing that's on the Amazon wish list, ideas list that I shared, there is a boom tripod thing. It looks like the Pixar lamp guy from the Pixar logo, but it's like one of those swing boom stand things, and it on the end it has a clamp for an iPad or iPhone or Samsung or whatever phone you have, so that you can clamp it onto your desk and bring the thing up above, and you can use it sort of like a document camera. Because document cameras are like ridiculously expensive if you try and buy them, but you can make your phone into a document camera. And so I listed that on there of the one that I purchased. You can also get some that are like snaky, like cord things, but those never ever stay stable for me. So if you know a good one, great. But I listed the one that I purchased on there so if you wanted to do a video of you reading the book like on your desktop, you could do that. Okay, I want to read another one that I'm hoping to read at the beginning of the school year. This one's maybe more older grades. This is called How to Be a Lion by Ed Veer. And I'm going to try and get it in the space. Okay. How to Be a Lion. Some say there's only one way to be a lion. They say lions are fierce. If they catch you, they will chomp you. Crunch, crunch, chomp. Like that part alone, you could turn into like some sort of like asana. Crunch, crunch, chomp. Crunch. Like there's options. They say a lion can't be gentle. Well, they haven't met Leonard. Leonard loves to walk by himself, feeling the sun warm his back and the grass under his paws. Some days Leonard walks to his thinking hill. Sometimes he thinks important thoughts. Sometimes he daydreams. Somewhere in between, he hums quietly and plays with words, putting them together this way, then that way, making them into poems. Some say, wait! Lions are not gentle. Lions do not write poems. And if a lion met a duck, bad luck for that duck. Crunch, crunch, chomp. But if Leonard met a duck, what do you think would happen? Hello, said Leonard. I'm Leonard. Hello, said the duck. I'm Mary Ann. I'm writing a poem, said Leonard, but I'm stuck. Will you help me? You're in luck, said Mary Ann. I am a poetic duck. Together, they played with Leonard's poem until the words came unstuck. I already love this book because it talks about how, like, you can be doing something and you can get someone else's help and that's fine. And maybe you, like, have writer's block or you have a moment where you're not sure what to do and it's good to get help. So I already love this book. Leonard and Mary Ann found they liked each other. Under the sun, in the long grass, they lay together. They played. Then they went for walks and had long, meandering conversations, a mixture of quacks and quiet roars. At night, they watched for shooting stars and made wishes if they saw them. Do you think the universe has edges? Quacked Mary Ann. If it doesn't, said Leonard, will we fall out? Together, they are happy. They wish for nothing more than this. Some say that a lion should have chomped a duck by now. One day, a pack of fierce lions came prowling around. What's going on here? They growled. Why hasn't this duck been chomped? This duck is Mary Ann, said Leonard. She's my friend and nobody will chomp her. The fierce lions came closer. We heard you're gentle. We heard you make up poems. But not chomping a duck? You've gone too far! The fierce lions growled and roared. There's only one way to be a lion, Leonard. You must be fierce. Must I be fierce? Said Leonard. Must I change? They're wrong, quacked Mary Ann, and we will show them why. Leonard and Mary Ann went to their thinking hill. They thought hard. After a while, Leonard hummed a serious hum. An idea started to form. Mary Ann quacked a serious quack. The idea grew. Then they put their words together, like this, like that, building them into a poem that made sense of what they thought. Finally, they were ready. Leonard took a deep breath. I'll say this quietly. I needn't roar to be heard. I can be a friend to a bee or a bird. You said I must change. I must chomp Mary Ann. But chomping your friends is a terrible plan. Let nobody say just one way is true. There are so many ways that you can be you. If there must be a must, then this we must try. Why don't you be you and I will be I? Some say words can't change the world. Leonard says, if they make you think, then maybe they can. Is there just one way to be a lion? I don't think so. Do you? Okay, I love this book for like 100,000 reasons. I'll tell you my number one reason, and then I'll tell you my musical reason. Okay, so my number one reason, I bought this book for my nephews because I don't want them to grow up thinking there is one way to be a man or to be a person or to be whatever. I don't want them to feel pigeonholed at any point. And I don't feel like growing up with my sister and my brother-in-law that's going to happen. But just to like further reinforce it, like you be you and that's fine. I thought this was a really cool book to share with them. So that's why I bought it, and then I was like, well, you gotta find a musical way to, you're the music uncle or whatever. So like I was going through and I was trying to think of like, what can I do? And I think that there's some really cool things you can do. You can have extension lessons about like poetry or putting things together, how you can compose and how you might get stuck and how you might change that, or you might find a thing that you think is great in composing and then decide to change it anyway. Like you can have so many cool conversations about that. And I'm going to share in just, if I don't run out of time, I'm going to share a couple composition things you could maybe do. I think you could take his poem and you could make it a song. I mean, there's so many things you could do. I almost wouldn't do that with the poem. I would almost just leave it a poem because why have to sing it? Like you could, but like why not just, let it be the poem that it is. But I love it because also, especially in this year especially when we're saying like, well, but how are you going to have music class if you can't sing? Excuse me, is that the only way that you can have music, that you can make music? No. Even if we're not singing, there are so many things we can do. Music is more than just the singing part. It's more than just the instruments. There's so much. Is body percussion music? Yes. Is composing music? Yes. Is listening to music a valid musical lesson? Yes. There are so many things you can do. So I love this book to say like, there's not just one way to do it, right? And so this is a great book to think about and to incorporate. I'm going to share some of those composition things in just a minute if I have time. Running out of time. But that's something to think about. And this is called How to Be a Lion by Ed Veer. And it is on the Amazon links page. Jenny, I hope you... Oh, good. Glad you found it. But I'll just say that I did not buy it from Amazon. I bought it from, Ollie's, which is like a discount, like a Big Lots, basically. But you can find it also on those discount book websites. So if you go to my Amazon page and you find it there, you can rip the ISBN and go search for it anywhere else. You don't have to buy it full price. That's okay. All right. Okay, I'm just going to talk about a couple books. I'm not going to have time today. Maybe next week. There's this wonderful book called All Are Welcome Here. Or it's not All Are Welcome Here, it's just All Are Welcome. It's a beautiful book, super wonderful representation. The pictures are just fabulous. And one of the cool things about this book, if you already know the book or already have the book, in this year, we're going to have to really change, And so one of the cool things is, there's a part in here that says, like, even if we're together, even if we're apart or something, we're part of a community, our strength is in our diversity, a shelter from adversity, all are welcome here. There are just so many cool things that are like good reinforcers of what we really want kids to do. So like this is just a really beautiful book, and you can sing it, because like on every page it goes like, let me see if I can find a great example. Open doors, rush outside, we will sing, we will slide. We'll have fun side by side. All are welcome here. That's what I would do with my super young kiddos. And we might go and find that on a recorder for if it's that great, or on a xylophone or something. If we wanted to, for the all are welcome here, that's super easy to include if you want. But there are some other fun things. Hopefully I'll be able to share about that one next week. We have time. Another really fun one to include is music class today, and if I have time next time I'll share about that. But that's another great one to get. Whether or not you use my lesson ideas or not, it's a great book to have. So I won't be able to talk about that one today, but it's a great book to have. Okay, one of the books that has been floating around that I wanted to make sure I shared about because everyone should have it is this book called Your Name is a Song. It's a beautiful book. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous, and the story is wonderful too. So I wanted to just share this with you. So Your Name is a Song by Jamila Tompkins Bigelow, illustrated by Luisa Uribe. I'm not coming back ever again, the girl stomped. Please don't stomp unless we're stepping in a drill team, Mama said. Was your first day of school so bad? The girl looked down. No one could say my name. No one? Not even your teacher? Mama asked. She tried. It got stuck in her mouth. A street musician swayed and played. Mama closed her eyes and she swayed too. Tell your teacher that your name is a song. The girl wrinkled her brows. I can't say that. Names aren't songs. Okay, I'm pausing for a second. One of the things that I really love about this book is there's so many like casual musical things that just sort of flow in. Like even if you think the drill team part or the music that they hear as they walk by, like it's just casually there all the time because music is part of everything we do in our lives. So, okay, sorry, let me go back and just read it because that's important. All right, tell your teacher that your name is a song. The girl wrinkled her brows. I can't say that. Names aren't songs. Sure they are. Take the name Olumude. And again, this is one that if you have not read it many, many, many times, you might read it slowly because you might mispronounce things. And the whole point of the book is like not mispronouncing, but you're trying your best. So read it, read it slowly, or just read it a lot at home. Okay, and then you'll have it ready. I actually think it's Olumide, but I could be wrong. Olumide is a melody girl, and so is Kotone. The girl whispered names. Tap to tap went her feet. Mamudu is a beat. Tondolwetu stretches out like a love song. And if you're like, I can't do this because there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce those, guess what? They're written out phonetically. So like even if you butcher it, you can just try your best because that's the point of the book is to say names even if you personally think they're tricky or whatever. So like just go through and read them before and then do your best and that's the point. Okay. Yes, girl, names are songs. Sing your name. Your teacher will learn to sing it too. The girl did a jig as they walked on. But then her feet slowed. Umi, she called to her mama. During snacks, some girls pretended to choke on my name. At the red light, a car boomed hip-hop beside them. The bass pounded from their heads to their toes, even in their chests. Pat, pat, pat. Mama patted her chest. Tell those girls some names must be said from here, not the throat. Names come from your heart? The girl asked. Say the name, ha! From there, you gotta go deeper to say, Alam. As they crossed, the girl touched her chest. Wana is here. Ingozi goes deeper. It pokes me in the stomach. Yes, girl, from your heart. Say your name. Those girls will learn to use their hearts too. The girl bopped to the beat as they walked along. In art, one boy's eyes got all wide when I said my name. Is my name scary? Wires sparked above a streetcar, and Mama and the girl jumped back, startled. Mama put a calming hand on the girl's shoulder. Tell that boy some names have fire. You could put fire in a name? Kweku storms in on a Wednesday, and fire dances in Savnika, Mama said. Names are that strong? The girl asked. Siomara fights a battle in your mouth. Tongues bow to say Bilkis. Julong lunges like a dragon. And Udon. Udon is magnificent. The girl's lips trembled. Yes, girl, just like you. On her toes, the girl rose and kicked as they walked on. What about the kids at recess who said my name sounds made up? Mama pointed up. Tell them that made-up names come from there. From the sky? The girl asked. Made-up names come from dreamers. Their real names were stolen long ago, so they dream up new ones. They make a way out of no way. Make names out of no names. Pull them from the sky. The girl reached up to pull names too. Tajay, and Trayvon. They sit on clouds with Jelante. Mama nodded. And Laquan and Lamika are the twinkle in stars, the glimmer in minds that think and tinker. Are these names new songs? The girl asked. Yes, girl, tell everybody to learn new songs too. The girl twirled and leapt to the sky as they walked on. The next day, the girl didn't want to go to school, but she had songs to teach. Line up, Miss Anderson hollered. The girl looked to the sky. She saw dreams and fire there. Miss Anderson hollered names. Benjamin! Tap, 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 went the girl's feet. Here. Siobhan! Tap, tap. Here. Olivia! Tap, tap. Here. The girl stopped tapping. Her name was getting stuck in Miss Anderson's mouth again. The girl sang. The whole class stared. What are you doing? Miss Anderson asked. I'm singing my name so you'll learn it. Names are not songs, Miss Anderson huffed. Miss Anderson, sang the girl. Miss Anderson frowned. Your name is a pretty song, said the girl. Miss Anderson frowned, slowly turned into a smile. Why, thank you. What about me? Bob asked. What's my song? The girl belted out, Bob! Others kids asked for songs too. She sang and sang their names. Miss Anderson asked, could we hear your song again? The girl sang her name. The teacher sang it back. One kid sang it, then another and another. Everyone sang her name. Cora Jalemuso. It was music to her ears. In the back, there's a glossary of all of the names, and it talks about like the meaning behind them. So like Anderson, English origin, meaning son of Andrew, or Xiomara, Spanish origin, meaning the name probably originates from the Germanic name Vigmar, which is formed with the words Vig, meaning war, and Mary, meaning famous. So it's just cool thing where it gives some of that context about some of that. And I see people already commenting saying like, ooh, there's this video of the author pronouncing all the names. That doesn't mean that in the moment on a live video or in front of your kids that you're going to remember all of that. It's great to go and like listen and learn and get it in your ear. But it does have the phonetic pronunciations written down in here. So that is hopefully going to be really helpful for you. My initial thoughts when I saw this book was, well, when we're back in the classroom and we can sing again, this is going to be perfect because a lot of times I'll sing, hello, Shannon, or hello, Mr. Rout, and they sing back. We do attendance like that. Or, hello, Jelante, and then he could sing back or whatever. So, amazing, right? Like you can use this in that setting, but guess what? We're probably not going to be singing our names quite like that. But if we are doing something virtual, I could sing some names, give examples, and then have kids record themselves singing a name, maybe their name or someone else's name, someone in their family. Maybe we could have their parent sing their name. So many cool ways that you could have the kid or parent or someone else singing, recording, and submitting online. Like what an amazing fun thing to get to know your students in that way, and also to have kids be singing at home. It's also great because it affirms all of these kids who maybe their name sounds different from other people's names. My last name, Rao, most people say Roe, and all my life I was like, people saying it wrong. That is in no way even close to the people whose first names, whose kids who are every day their name is pronounced wrong. My last name is like a baby thing. But if to have people not say your name or to intentionally not say your name, to use some other version of a name or whatever, to give you a nickname because they can't say your name, it just changes the way you act and are. And so this book affirms all of those beautiful names and helps all of us to think about names sort of in a different way. So I think that's so cool. Some extension things that I would do, you could talk about then how she padded the names, you know, Olivia or Ben, or you could, you know, do whatever. You could do the padding, you could do body percussion things, you could talk about other words that have rhythms, or you could give them words and have them sing them. So, you know, all of these centers that I spent so long laminating, cutting up, and whatever, that I probably won't be able to use because I can't pass them out and clean them all off. I could, you know, say, like, we could talk about the words themselves and how they have their own rhythm and their own sound, how you could sing them if you want. There are just some really cool versions of things like that. There's a follow-up game that I'm going to try and turn this around. I don't know if it's going to work, so let's just see. Hey, it sort of worked. Okay, so it's always interesting to see how this works if I've turned my phones around. Okay, so my kids all have iPads. Every student does, and so what I'm going to try and do is I have a couple interactive games. Oh, this is not the game I wanted. So one of the things about the interactive games that I have is you can incorporate them in like Google, Seesaw, Apple Classroom, all sorts of stuff. But one of the things, if you are in the classroom, you can use the QR codes. And so like the kid just scans the QR code with their camera app, and guess what? It pulls right up. So this is if you wanted to do the food words thing, but you wanted a more interactive version, or they're home and you want to have an extension activity, you could do this where the kid gets to tap and they have to think about what rhythm or what sound goes with that word. So apple cider. And your language teachers are going to love you for this because you're teaching kids to think about syllables and how they work together. So if they get it wrong, oh no, the dog ate the food, right? Okay. But if they get it right, hooray, you chose the right rhythm and got the food to the table. Thanks for helping Grandma. Okay, so this is a fun game. There are 30 different words, and they get to go through and choose and see if they're right or if they're wrong. And if they're wrong, they get to go again. But you could also have this become a thing where they get to sing it if they're at home. If you're in the classroom, this would just be a cool extension to sort of like take the thing that you talked about or sang about or whatever, and then put it into an application that kids can actually touch and feel and do. Even if you can't hand out centers, you can, if they have technology, they can do this. So there's a couple other games sort of like this. So like one of the things I want to use is an assessment at the beginning of the year to see where my students are at. So I got this other interactive game that sort of, well, it just came out. I just published it really recently. And this one is one to sort of get an understanding of how well they know like symbols or dynamics, things like that. So there's a symbols game, there's a note value game, there's a tempo game. And so let me just show you. So it says, tap the symbol that matches the word, flat. And if you tap the wrong thing, it gives you the little squishy bird. But if you tap the right thing, oh no, the emojis have escaped, and so it lets you try and catch the emojis, right? So that's sort of a fun thing. Repeat sign. Woo! So it's sort of a fun little extension activity if you want it. There are a bunch of different games. Those are just two of the ones that I wanted to share about. Oh, let me see if I have time to show you one more. And so, like I said, this is something that I'm going to be using just as a way to sort of assess where kids are at or to remind them of what they maybe learned previously. Here's one more that's sort of fun. This one is all about the treble clef. And so there are different versions. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4 different games in this. But like version 1 is like really simple. So version 1, there are beginning, advanced, and pirate versions of each of these games. So this game 1 itself is very simple, and there are 3 levels of difficulty, but then, you know, they can go on to the very advanced stuff. So it starts with super simple stuff, and if you get the wrong one, it's not a problem, but if you get the right one, hooray, you got to go to the next slide, right? So like it's just a fun little game to sort of remind them of how it all works, and if you need to go back to the thing, you hit the little life preserver up here, and you can go back to the main game. So, but then like let's look at the game 4, because it's like way harder. Let's even go pirate version. So this is a non-word thing. Most of the other ones are like cafe or dad, but this one has like not any of those things. It's just like random letters on their own. Let's go back and see. Do advanced. Yeah, so like you have to choose the words that match. It's sort of just fun for kids, but a good application of things that they can do. Okay, I'm going to flip this back around. Ooh, Instagram, I'm about to lose you. Thanks so much for coming along, everyone. I hope you had a great night, and I'll be getting more things. Check out the links page if you have questions. Okay, Facebook, sorry, I'm going to flip you around and I'm going to finish up. So those are just some online things that are available now that are more extensions. They're on my TPT store. I have links to them on the links page. But I wanted to share about them tonight, even though I only had a second to do it, because there's a Teachers Pay Teachers sale tomorrow. So if you wanted to get things at a discount, you can get them up to 20% off, 25% off, 20%. I don't remember. At a discount tomorrow if you use the code. So that's happening tomorrow. But those are just games that I'm going to sort of integrate throughout these first couple weeks as like reminders of things or extensions for things so that I can see where kids are and what I need to work on next. And because they're fun. And because you can do them either in class on iPads or at home in Google Classroom or Blackboard or whatever you're using, Canvas. You can either use a QR if you're in person, you can use the link if you're at home or need to embed or whatever. You've got options. But I wanted to show you those games now. If I had this book, Your Name is a Song, and I wanted to use it in class, I would probably record myself reading it and singing it ahead of time because I'm probably not going to be singing in class. So any book that you're going to use, you think that you might sing or need a singing element or musical element, think about looking for a pre-recorded version, or better yet, pre-record yourself so that you can then share that with students later. Okay, I did not get through all the things I wanted to get through, but guess what? There's next week. So I hope you'll join me again next week. Again, Monday night at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and I'm going to share more lessons and ideas. And at that point, I'll like maybe know if I'm going to go back in person so I can share like a specific lesson, like this thing first, then this other thing, or here's how I'm making it work. But I don't know that yet. So I just hope it was okay that I shared some books and resources with you tonight. If you have questions, as always, you can leave them there in the chat box. You can send me a message, makemomentsmatter@gmail.com. You can Facebook being whatever, but leave all of that. And please join the Facebook group, Every Moment Matters Music Education Community, so that you can ask questions all the time throughout the year and get helpful, good feedback from all the wonderful people in that group. Okay, that's all. I'll see you next week. Don't forget the links page is there, and if you have questions, reach out. Have a great year, everyone, and a great week ahead. Bye, everyone.